My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Transport Fever 2 and episode 2 of the USA themed series that we started rather recently. Don't have a title for this series yet. I am recording this episode straight after episode number 1, so who knows, land of the free, something like that I'm sure. Yes, we're carrying on where we left off almost immediately. As we can see in the bottom left, we're looking quite healthy from a financial point of view, with a decent cash flow and around about 1.5 million give or take in the bank, so things are looking good so far. For our lines, we can see our first rail cargo line is making us about 500,000 per year. The lumber haulage, the logging haulage line, is making us a decent amount of money as well, and the tools delivery not so much, but of course it's not shipping that much per year yet, so yes, that's still flagging a little, but it's not the end of the world. Now, I have made a change between ending episode 1 and starting the recording for this episode, and I've put a little loop here, as we can see, and the logging freight line, or the logging haulage line to be more accurate, now drops off to an unload point just outside of the sawmill, rather than coming through into the Worcester Freight Exchange that we set up together in episode 1. I've also made one other change in preparation for what I was planning to do next, and if we head all the way down to New Jersey, I've put a freight station just here, and I've just expanded this flat area here, which is obviously supposed to represent the docks at Newark, and I've got rid of a few of the berthing channels that were in here, just flattened it all out to make space for a freight yard. Now, my plan originally was to start producing some fuel over here at Phillips 66. We do have an oil well not too far away at Edison, and I was going to ship the oil in, get it transferred over into some fuel, and then take the fuel up to Boston. However, the game has thrown me a juicy alternative to that by putting me a construction materials plant here between Springfield and Hartford. We also have a quarry near here as well, Portland Brownstone Quarries. So my plan now is to bring the stone into the construction materials plant and then take the bricks up into Worcester Freight Exchange. Of course, bricks being the second commodity that Worcester is calling for at the moment, so we could start supplying both bricks and tools to Worcester very early on in our game. Now, I'm dragging this introduction out just a little bit because I like to get as much money as possible before we start this, so I don't have to do too much waiting around. So we're up to 2.3 million, so we're on the right tracks. So the first thing we're going to do is actually connect the Portland Brownstone Quarry into the Springfield Construction Materials plant. So let's get ourselves a couple of industries, or a couple of stations I should say. They're not industries, they are stations. Let's get ourselves a couple of stations to kickstart the production of the quarry, so we can take those bricks over to the nearby construction materials plant. So first thing we need is a road, so we have a nice active connection, and then what we're gonna do is take this around, and just for completion's sake we're gonna bring it into the town here like so, and now we can put down a branch road like this, and that's just going to help serve our cargo station. Now, we don't have an active connection right there, but if we push it back a bit, we certainly do, like that. The reason I've done it like this is because, as we can see here, this quarry is sunk into the terrain somewhat. I wanted our cargo station to be at a more reasonable or realistic level, so that's why I've had to do this, so it's at this level rather than snapping in at almost sea level where the Portland Brownstone Quarry currently finds itself. With that being said and done, we can now start laying some tracks over towards the construction materials plant we have at Springfield. So this should be relatively straightforward. The terrain, it changes a little, but it's nothing too drastic. Now I just want to be careful here that I get enough of a radius that we have a decent speed on this. There we go. So now we can put down our station for here. And if we... let's see here. Okay, so are we raised up there? I don't think we are. I think if we go like... oh, that's probably too much, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with that. Like so. So we've got an abandoned industry and a new steel mill. They're fine. And then if we connect that in, okay, we get some slowdown on this radius. However, we are going to be coming to a stop at this station anyway. Or in reverse, we're going to be just leaving this station. So we shouldn't be at those sort of speeds by this point anymore anyway. So that shouldn't cause us too many issues. And now what we want to do is connect the Worcester Freight Exchange to this new line. So let's just have a look at the topography. So if we run a straight section of track out, we are at 20 meters. Now I believe this is at about 30 something or 25? 28. So we're not going to, overall anyway, we're not going to change our elevation too much here. So this should be fairly decent run. Now we do want to keep it level simply because we're at 28 and we need to go down to 20, so we don't want to be going up to come back down again. That's just a waste. However, the terrain looks like we might have no alternative. Where do we come out of this tunnel? Okay, so yes, in fact let's just, yeah, we'll let it go up to come back down again. There we go. So that's gone up to 39 meters, but it's still classed as a level gradient because it's just done it over such a long stretch. So the trains shouldn't suffer too greatly on this, especially the early trains that we currently have access to. So we're actually went up quite a bit here, up to 40 meters now. We need to get down to 20. Let's see. Maybe if we, in fact, we'll come from this direction. Now we don't want to go up too high too soon. So as you can see, this is one of the sections of the map where the terrain isn't quite as conducive as it would look at first glance, but that's fine. So we get up to 47 meters. Does the land drop down a little bit? Yes, it does. If we go to about there, where are we headed? Where's our train line thus far? It's up here. So now we want to actually start to curve that way. We want to get to about 40 meters here. We are going to run out of money pretty soon on this. We've only got 800,000. This stretch of track alone is going to cost 775. So we might just have to wait for a few moments here while we accumulate a little bit more in terms of money to finish this little bit of track off. But while we're waiting for that, we can take a look and see how it's going to look if we did a straight point-to-point connection. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's bleeding off 5 meters, but it's over 1.5, well, almost 1.5 kilometers, so that should be pretty good, and we can now afford it, so we'll take that. Obviously we can use this depot here to get our trains down onto this new line that we've created. Before we do that, let's just make sure we name all of our stations correctly. So we've got Springfield Brickworks, and what did this, Portland Brownstone Quarries. Let's borrow that name, shall we? Portland Brownstone Quarries. Okay, so I think for now I'm just going to do simple point-to-point lines, simply because the trains, I mean, we do have a mixed consist up here, of course. Oh, could we? Shall we do another mixed consist train? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So we're going to go from Portland Brownstone Quarries to Springfield Brickworks, and then obviously to Worcester Freight Exchange. We'll colour this red since it's dealing with bricks. So at Brownstone Quarries, you want full load any, and you want to load bricks, and you won't be no, you don't want to load. You want to load stone, not bricks. Yes, and you're not unloading anything. At the brickworks, you want to load the bricks and unload the stone. And again, full load any, so you load up as many bricks as you possibly can, or in fact you load up a full load of bricks according to your consist availability. And then at the Worcester Freight Exchange, you're not actually picking anything up, but you are unloading bricks. Now I do believe this is all a 1-to-1 ratio, but we'll check that in a minute after we've just named this new line, and this is going to be bricks production, and this is, we'll just call it Springfield to Worcester. Oh, is Hartford? I think Hartford is Connecticut. In fact, I'm going to check that. So just give me a second here. Yes, it is Hartford, USA, city in Connecticut. So I'm going to actually, given that we have all these states about, let's do something a little bit different here. We'll call it, well, this will be the Connecticut, I think that's spelled right, to, oh god, Massachusetts, now you're asking. MA, there we go. In fact, CTMA. There we go, yeah, that'll do. There's no way I'm spelling Massachusetts without checking, so yeah, CTMA, I'll cheat. There we go. As I thought, it is a 1-to-1 conversion. So now we can think about getting a train. We're not going to be able to afford it for the foreseeable, which is a little unfortunate. But what we can do in the meantime is sort out where the bricks are going to be delivered to. So I think this time we'll have our truck come this way, and you can drop off there like that. So this will be coming from Worcester Freight Exchange to there. That's nice and clean and tiny. We'll have red, of course, full load. Wait for as long as you need. And you want to be fully loaded with bricks. So this is our bricks delivery Worcester. There we go. To make sure that's ready to go when the first load of bricks arrive, we'll buy ourselves a vehicle, just the one. That way it's not going to cause problems while it's waiting on its platform for the bricks, which aren't going to materialise for the foreseeable future. While I was setting that up, you may have noticed we had a new quarry, or a new construction platform up here at Hartford. It's not really any more ideal than the one we are currently using, so we don't need to, we've not wasted anything there, or we've not missed an opportunity, I should say. I think just to get the ball rolling, it's going to be worth taking out a loan and getting a section of double track in here and purchasing 2 trains. Now, just to let you know, I have repaid, I think I had up to 6 million at one point. You start with 5 and I took out an extra million. So yeah, I have repaid 2 million of the total loan that I had at one point. So we're down to 4. So we do have plenty of scope to take out a larger loan. So what we're going to do is first of all put in a passing loop, and we'll put it here, just through this tunnel. And then as we come out of the tunnel here is where we'll connect back into the main line. Let's get that up to 75. Thank you very much. That's all connected, yes? Yes, it is. So a couple of signals, of course, just to keep things going the right way. One there. And then over here, one just there. So now let's take out, I'm going to say we'll need about 4 million. So let's get up to 4 million. There we go. So now it's 7.5 million. So we're still within the default cap of 10 million. So we've not had to use that extra that I granted myself in the setup. And let's get ourselves 2 trains. Once again, we'll go for the American 440. And for the consist wagons, cargo wagons only. So we'll be taking bricks, and we shall also be taking stone. So the stone is going, in fact, we'll go for this first. And much like we have with our tools, we'll go for, in fact, we'll go for 2 of those. How is that? That's not bad, but I want to put those the other way around, like that. So that looks better, I think. Yeah. And I also want to colour them. Gee, get with the program. So we want these red. So 4 of those. No, not red. Oh, God, this is taking far too long. We want grey. 4 of those. Flat car with side stakes, then 2 of those. And overall we want 2 vehicles. So we only needed 3 million, not 4. So let's purchase those and assign them to the line. And that should start triggering all the down chain production quite nicely. Let's just repay the extra million that I didn't need. We may as well get rid of it rather than pay interest on it. And let's head down to the, I've forgotten the name of the quarry already. Portland Brownstone. Let's head up down here. Yeah, we have some stone being produced already, so that's working okay. Time will tell if this comes online as anticipated. I don't see why it shouldn't though. And what I'm going to do here is actually just put down a signal. Well, I can't afford one. Never mind. I was going to put a signal here so this train could come and wait at the junction and allow this train to come through, but I don't have the money. Hopefully we have a train about to make a delivery up in Boston. They just made the delivery, so now we can put our signal there. There we go, and that should make things go a little bit faster. Let's just reconnect that little stretch of track there. And let's give them a waypoint there. I don't think we don't really need it, but we'll put one anyway. So now as soon as this train has buggered off, he will go straight on through and down to Portland Brownstone, which we can see is filling up quite nicely. We already have 52 available and our trains carry 28. So what we're going to do, as we often have to do in the early portion of the game, is just run it for 5 or 10 minutes, let the lines bed in, let things get spaced out, and we'll judge the lay of the land and see where we need to go next. Why? Oh, you're waiting there because this train hadn't... Oh no, it had cleared. Not sure why you waited there. Perhaps you considered yourself unloading some bricks, who knows. Yes, we'll leave it for a few moments and we'll just get a feel for how it's going to pan out for us. It's just occurred to me that one thing we probably want to do rather soon is expand the size in terms of platform capacity, size of the station here at Worcester Freight Exchange. Otherwise these trains are going to be waiting miles away for clearance to get on to drop off their goods. So let's give them a second platform over here with, where are you, cargo buildings, no, platforms, cargo platforms, like that. And then don't want to do it through that screen, but through this screen we want to have this track connected in down here. And again, give myself a nice good run up at this, like so. And I think that will be fine. And then what we want to do is put you onto terminal number 2, like so. That's better, because otherwise, as I said, if either of the 2 trains was on the shared platform, then the train from the other line would either have to wait back here if it was the brick train, or even worse, if it was the tool train that was unloading, our brick train would have to wait all the way back there, and that's just going to cause unnecessary slowdown. So the extra platform should deal with that. So you're on your way to Worcester, and you do have 14 bricks. You're waiting for clearance, but that's fine. I think these should space out quite nicely in the near future. Of course, at the moment, they were quite tied up together because they both left the depot roughly the same time. So yes, now that that's done, we shall let it run for 5 or 10 minutes and get a good feel for how it's gonna do for us. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I've let this new line run for a few years in the background. What I've also done is started the date progression at 25% the normal speed, so 1/4 times speed, so we can see the date ticking up a little slowly there. Now I've got the financial overview charts up for the bricks production line that we set up. Now it looks to me as if we're having a repeating pattern. If you discount the first 2 years, while the trains were getting out onto the lines, picking up their first load, spacing themselves out, so on and so forth, it looks like we have 1 year where the line runs at a slight loss. In fact, what sort of loss is that? We make 470 and we lose 500. So we'll be losing 30,000 that year. However, then in the second year, we make a considerable income before going back to the small loss. So if my theory and my assumption holds, this one here should match up to this one, and then we'll have a repeating pattern of every other year we make a decent profit. Now, as we can see, the profit that we do make in the good year far outweighs the losses that we make in the bad year. So the running total, if you could see this number over several years, over say a 4-year time span or a 5-year time span, should be positive. So while it looks negative, or it will look negative every other year, I think on balance overall this is a profitable line. Of course, that all depends as to whether my theory as to the every other year actually does hold true or not. And in fact, we will find out when we hit, I think it will be June of 1851, which is when I believe the next set of financial results will be available. Because as we can see, they seem to be every 3 months at this game speed. We can see there the 3rd, so March 1850, June 1850, September 1850, and then December 1850. Up there we go. Yep, it looks like my theory is going to be proven true, and that every other year we make a nice profit, and then the intervening years we make a small loss. So we're going to have to just disregard this number from time to time because it might not necessarily be a true and fair reflection. As we can see here, however, we've just lost a little bit more than we normally do. Whether that's going to affect things when it comes to the long run, I'm not sure, but we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, I think we're going to be pretty much okay with this line. I have extended the passing loop somewhat. It now runs all the way down to here because the trains were having to wait here for the other one to pass through. As we can see now, they can pass each other seamlessly with no hanging around. What I've also done is added a second delivery truck onto the brick delivery line. So we have one waiting to be supplied right here. and the other one will be making a delivery or on its way back in the not too distant future. In fact, here it comes here now. For Worcester itself, the effects we've got now overall plus 60% in terms of resident numbers from our supply, 10% from private transportation destinations. Of course, that would be ordinarily a little bit higher, but I did scale the impact the private destinations has down just a little. And we can also see, despite being rated at very good quality for traffic, we are at negative 10%. So those increased weightings are coming into effect already, and even as I just said, with a very good traffic rating, we're seeing a 10% reduction in the amount of residents. Of course, overall we're seeing a target population growth, which is good and always positive, but it just does demonstrate the impact that adjusting those sliders can have on your town growth metrics. So things are looking good so far then. We are still making money. Oh, one other thing I did while I was waiting is, because this platform is creeping up ever so slowly, I've added an extra flat car onto the back of our tool production trains consists, so they now take an extra 7 planks with them per journey. Obviously that has had a negative impact on their power and their acceleration, however it's a trade-off I am prepared to make. Over here at the Boston Freight Exchange we are full of tools, as we can see. However, until we get stronger and more powerful locomotives which can pull a longer consist, there's not much we can do about that. One possibility is to double head these trains and have an extra consist or an extra boxcar or two forming part of the consist, just to get through these tools a little faster, but I'm not overly too concerned by the wastage up here at this point in time. Got a similar situation about to develop here at Springfield Brickworks, where obviously because it's a 1-for-1 ratio, we're dropping off twice as much stone compared to the bricks that we are shipping out. So this is also starting to fill up, but again, until we get more powerful locomotives, there's really very little we can do about that. The only alternative is to have 2 separate lines, one shipping the stone and then one shipping the bricks, and making sure the consist lengths are the same for each of those. But then of course you've got to factor in the extra distance that this train would have to make compared to this one, so it's not necessarily as straightforward as one may first assume. So what I'm going to do now before we end is just repay a little bit more of this loan. We can repay 1.5 million, and that takes us down to just over 5.5 million debt, which is a much better position to be in, of course. And at this point I think we'll end episode 2 here. I'm trying to go for a little bit more of a casual, relaxed playthrough this time around. And I'm also going to try and maybe keep the episode lengths down just a fraction. So yes, I'm going to hop on this train as it heads back to Portland something quarry, Portland Brownstone, there we go. And we'll have a little outro ride on this train today, I think. So as always, thank you very much for watching the video. I'll probably record episode 3 straight after episode 2, so any comments made in the first few episodes I won't be able to action immediately, just because of recording schedules and the likes. So it's not that I'm ignoring them, it's that I can't time travel. Oh, watch out, Mr. Elk. Yes, it's just that I cannot time travel and come back to action them before I have read them, of course. Yeah, relativity and all that. Anyway, all that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, you take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.